What's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of the Powerlifting for the People podcast. We got Dee Dee back, and then we got Ayana and Sean here today. So we got the whole gang, the whole family. So most recently, at the time of this recording, I guess it's been, about a month or so, a little less than a month. You guys all competed together for the first time, which was a lot of fun, and I'll let you guys chat about that. But so we'll just kind of jump right into it. So we had Dee Dee on the podcast before, just on her own experiences lifting, but now, since, competing, since joining the gym, also she's gotten her kids involved. So I want to kind of just hear from Dee Dee, and then we'll kind of hear from the kids, but just kind of, I guess, how they got into it. Were they interested based on watching you? Did they ask you, like, how did, I guess, they first, stumble across wanting to give the gym a try?
Yes, thank you. So I actually competed in January, RPS, and the kids came, they sat in the front row, and to my surprise, they lasted the entire 8-hour competition and they were glued. They photographed everybody and they did not want to take a break. They did not want to get for a snack. They were so enthralled with everybody lifting. There's a lot of teenagers at competitions that really motivated them. And after that, they were really interested. So we just started it and they love it so far.
Cool. So yeah, I think I definitely think it's helpful. I think for people that maybe they're interested, maybe they're not really sure like what it's about, to watch a competition, or maybe even just go to a gym that has more of a team environment. Yeah, even like this past weekend, we had a bunch of youth lifters compete that were all like under 12 years old, which was really cool. And then we had people in their 60s, 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s and 60s compete. So we had a really big range. So sometimes people don't realize that you don't just have to be some, big muscle bound person. Like, anyone can compete. And I think that's a really cool thing. And that's not really the case for every other sport and every other competition. So, but actually visually seeing it is a whole other thing. So maybe seeing people that are maybe your age or your body size, similar stature, different weight classes, I definitely think could be helpful. So, and again, so I'm going to kind of just go back and forth between you guys. So I'll let you, and then I'm going to go back to Mom, but for Sean and Ayana, we'll go Sean first. When you guys were watching the competition, obviously besides your mom and our people, but was there anything in particular that you guys were really impressed or really kind of piqued your interest? Like, what was it like kind of just watching the competition for the first time?
That's actually a really good question. So when I first saw like my mom doing competition, I was like really impressed that she did really amazing. And I thought to myself, maybe I should probably try doing some powerlifting as well to be strong like my mom.
And Ayana, anything in particular that you thought was piqued your interest, or you thought was really impressive that you saw like when you first watched the competition in January?
Thank you. I think like watching everybody just lift, like it just like, was like appealing to me because I wanted to get stronger and I really, like working out and stuff. So yeah.
Very good. All right, so let's go back to Mom. So so after they watched the competition, I guess, what was the conversation like? And then I guess, what did they ask? Can we come to the gym? Or like, what was, I guess, that initial conversation like?
They were really excited, and they just, I asked them, I said, do you want to try it? I think you guys could really do it because there's kids your age doing it. And they said yes. And then we just started powerlifting. We came to the gym and they loved it since.
Cool. So I just want to kind of throw out a couple of things. And then again, if Dee Dee, if you want to kind of comment as well. So I know there's a lot of parents that watch, a lot of parents. I have people that watch even, we had little Bryn compete last weekend, and she just turned 8. She competed in, she did the deadlift meet in February. She did the push pull meet, and she did fantastic, did really well, hit a personal best, bench press for the first time, which was, a little bit more challenging than the deadlift, which oftentimes with women. So sometimes you'll get some people, it's not as common, but there are still some parents that get worried. They think lifting is going to stunt your growth and things like that. And what I always kind of tell, and you could kind of tell maybe your experiences, or maybe like why or why not you thought it was fine. But a lot of people don't realize that like your body doesn't really know the difference between if it's a weight, if it's a ball, if it's another human. There's a lot of forces. Force is force, whether it's a weight, whether it's your body weight. Even something like sprinting and jumping, there's actually, because it's the speed of it, it's even more, could be potentially more force on your body than light weights. So I guess what was your, obviously you're kind of coming into this, with some experience yourself. I guess for any like kind of parents that might be worried that this might be dangerous or unsafe, like what would you say? Obviously they're getting coaching and stuff, but what would you say as far as for parents that are looking to get their child into some sort of strength sport or some sort of athletic competition? Like what made you feel like this was, I guess, safe for them, and that you weren't really worried about them? So
That's an excellent question. And actually, I do have that issue because a lot of my family, friends, ex-husband doesn't agree with powerlifting for kids. They feel like it's going to stunt their growth. However, my kids are 13 and 14, and they're actually an adult weight. So it's fine for them. I trust my coach, and I did a lot of research on my own. And I've been in the fitness world since I was about 16, and
Yeah.
my health is fine. So I think it's all just a myth, and parents have to know their kids and don't push your kids too much, but let them explore and let them do what they like. And if you have a coach and you trust your coach, then I think it'll be great.
Yeah, and I think that's really well said. So number one, I think just to do your own research. I think that's important. Don't just kind of, because a lot of times we hear, especially now with social media, we hear these little sound bites, or we might just see like a little blurb. You don't get the full context, and you don't get like a lot of information. You might get this 30-second snippet, or you just see someone's comments. So actually doing some research and seeing like what's true and what's not true, I think is really important. Getting actual expert advice. So what's really cool, and if you look at like the injury, actually one of the highest incidents of injuries in like a lot of is actually running, because you get a lot of overuse injuries from repetitive motion. Something like powerlifting, there's a very low amount of repetitions. And if you look at the injury risk relative to other sports, because it's very stable, it's very predictable, it's not chaotic. Like if you're a wrestler, for example, you can't control what your opponent does, right? If you're a football player, you're going very fast, and it's a very quick change of direction. So something like powerlifting, if you have a good coach, you could pick whatever weight you think's appropriate. You don't have to do a certain weight. And it's very low repetitions, which it's less exposure. So there's less chance of risk overall, because there's less kind of moving parts, as opposed to other sports where you might do a lot of repetitions, where they could be very chaotic in nature. So it's like I said, you could be as risky or as conservative as you'd like. And that's where kind of having like a good coach. And I do agree, like let them explore, let them play. They don't necessarily have to go crazy, work the form, work the skill, introduce them, because this is going to be a skill they're going to use for the rest of their life. So I think that's really good advice for kind of parents that are kind of interested, maybe getting their kid involved in some sort of strength training. And obviously start slow. We have lighter bars and things like that. So now I want to kind of jump into the kids, and we'll start with Ayana first. So the first workout that you came to the gym, what was like the first day like, and what are some things that you've learned since then?
I feel like the first day, thank you, by the way, that's a good question. The first day I started on, I started squatting, and I started on the box, so like when you squat, you sit on the box and then get up. And I feel like I've learned how to critique my form and like fix it. Like I feel like through that I've noticed, like, if I do something wrong, I like know how to fix it, because like my form, you know what I mean? Kind of.
Yeah, so he started you out with like a variation. He started you out with less weight, or even just your body weight, right? So the box is a really good teaching tool for you to, like, you have a little bit more support. You kind of know where to stop. Gives you a little bit, it kind of takes some of the balance out of the equation. So I think those are all really good points. So you don't have to start with the competition movement. If you want to eventually compete, you could start with the variation. You could start with just your body weight. You could start with a broomstick. So really great points. So Sean, do you have anything to add, or anything in terms of your own experience as far as what you remember from like your first day working out?
Yes, that's also a really good question. So when I first like came powerlifting, I was like had like a little like back, like my back was like hunched over when I was like first doing squats. And then I like kind of like messed up. But when I like did good, I was like telling myself that I got this, I can do this. And I just like have patience, and I just like think about what I'm gonna do first. And yeah.
So yeah, I can attest that, you know, from start to finish, your form is, both of you guys have, your form has improved a lot. Obviously, you guys have different like body types. So like with Sean, a little bit taller, a little bit longer limbs. So squats a little bit more challenging. Ayana's a little bit more like kind of built, a little shorter, a little bit more shorter limbs, which is going to be more advantageous to the squat. So you both have a slightly different form, kind of based on your body type. Both have improved a lot and learned a lot, which is fantastic. Um, so I think that's really important to kind of like, one thing I want to kind of reiterate, and then if Dee Dee, if you want to add to what I say. Sean said patience. I think that's, and I think especially in this day and age, when everything is so fast paced, and we're learning that at an early age, learning to be patient and keep putting in the work and be consistent is a really incredible skill if you can kind of teach that early on. So I don't know if you want to kind of comment on that, or if you've seen any kind of changes in them since starting and since kind of working, because they've been pretty darn consistent. You know, they're not going, you know, they're going maybe once, twice a week. They're not, but been consistently putting in effort and trying to be a little bit better. So learning that patience, learning that consistency, learning that work ethic. So have you seen anything like outside of the gym, any kind of changes, you know, in them, you know, from, you know, your point of view?
Absolutely. Yeah, they did develop their patience, but they also developed their confidence, and they feel stronger as people. They feel more, they're more mature, and they do a lot more things like around the house. They do a lot more chores willingly, even without being told or asked. They do schoolwork better now since powerlifting. They're more focused on everything.
Yeah, and I think having that kind of physical outlet and like kind of learning, you know, so, you know, one of the things I think is important, and it's one of the whole premises of powerlifting for the people. So obviously it's really cool to see like the weight on the bar go up, but if you could kind of transfer those skills, you learn the work ethic, you learn the patience, you learn the consistency, and if you could transfer those things to other, you know, you learn how to be attentive, like when we'll talk about spotting and things like that. So being present and attentive, because a lot of people are not paying attention. Being more intentional with the task at hand. If you kind of transfer those skills into other areas of your life, that's going to make you really successful in a career path, as a family member, as a partner, as a family member. So I think that's great. So Sean, have you, what outside of like the lifts that you've improved on, have you kind of felt any changes in your body or in your mind? Like what kind of improvements have you seen so far in yourself?
That's also a very good question. So after I like did like some squats, I feel like much different now, like a different person. I feel like a bit stronger like every day. And I just felt like I'm brand new ever since.
Cool. Anna, do you have anything that you'd like to share as far as some things that you've improved on or you've gained since training at the gym?
I feel like that makes me like every time I finish, powerlifting, like every time the session's over, I just feel like excited and powerful. Like if I go there and I'm tired, I just feel like jump started after I'm done.
Yeah, I think you feel like you did something hard and you accomplished the task at hand, and I think that's huge. So now I want to kind of talk about the fun part. I want to talk about the competition specifically. So we'll go back to Dee Dee and then we'll chat with the kids. So I guess, when did you first consider like that they may want to actually now they're training, they're getting into it, they're really enjoying it. Obviously they're seeing these changes physically and emotionally, they're getting stronger inside and out. But now they want to take it to the next level and actually do a competition, which is not an easy thing to do, even as an adult. It's kind of scary, right? So I guess, what was that conversation like, and when did you start talking about potentially getting them ready for a competition?
Well, actually, the first day after powerlifting, I asked them when they wanted to compete. I was really excited and really motivated because I think they did great after their first initial day, and they enjoy it, and it's fun, and it's so good for them. So I just kind of was like, okay, let's talk about competition. And I know that the single competition is easier to prepare for and actually to do instead of a triple competition. So that's what we started with the squat competition. And it just was perfect that it was in July because they started in January, February. So they had enough time to prepare and get comfortable with it. And I felt like as we got closer to July, they were ready. And, you know, they saw me compete. They saw my sister Laura compete. And they came to a few Gaglione strength competitions to volunteer and help out. So they were in, you know, in the zone and they were ready to do it.
Yeah, I do want to highlight, I think that the single lift meets are very overlooked. Even for open level, like adult lifters. And it's nice to sometimes just to like, it's a shorter competition, it's less pressure, it's only one lift you got to worry about. It's really hard as you get more advanced to kind of peak everything at the same time. There's more moving parts. So I definitely highly encourage, and this can go for adults too. And then especially if you're somebody that, like, you know, Laura, for example, like your sister, she just did her first, not her first, she did wanted to work on her knee wrap squat. So we kind of elected to do that. And that was a good way just to kind of focus on that, just that one. So if you're kind of changing, maybe you're changing from conventional to a sumo deadlift, or maybe you're going into different equipment, like squatting with knee wraps, single left meet can be a really good way. Or if you're just somebody new or younger, like a deadlift only meet and something, that's what we had Bryn do. A little bit lower pressure, less things to worry about for sure. So let's go to the kiddos. So Ayana, what was it like going from training? Any difference between training and competition? What did you like? What was maybe a challenge? So tell us about like your first experience competing and some of the highlights.
Well, thank you. So when I was, you know, like when I went to the gym on the day of the competition, I was nervous because, you know, it was a competition and a lot of people were going to be watching me. But I kept telling myself that it was just going to be a normal day at powerlifting and just a lot of other people there. So, but I feel like a competition, it's just different because you only do 3 lifts and it's not as, you know, like you don't do it as many times and like you can't redo it if you want the next time. So like it's kind of like a lot of pressure to get it right.
And Sean, how about you? How was it your first competition experience, and how did that feel?
Thank you. So, when I first did my competition, I got like a bit nervous. Well, a lot nervous. But I just like tell myself like it's just gonna be like a good day. You're just gonna like focus on one thing that's not moving at all and focus. And then I just like have faith that I'm gonna do a great job. And when I like did it, I felt like I felt I did like a really awesome job on my first competition.
You did.
And then if we'll go back to Ayana and then Sean again. So for those that are listening, tell us a little bit like the highlights, like what was your favorite part of the competition? What went well?
So I actually really enjoyed just the experience of like, you know, being in a competition because it's a lot of fun and like all the cheering, you get to cheer for other people and people cheer for you. And it's just like I feel like after a lift, you could just be crazy, you know, because you like just completed it. But also another of my favorite parts is my medal. I kind of wear it like a necklace, you know. So I really do love that.
Yeah, I think I mean, you know, I think I've done over 30 competitions at this point, but especially your first one, you're definitely going to remember. I can remember my first one. I made a bunch of mistakes. I didn't have a coach like myself helping me. I kind of was trying to figure it out. I wasn't there by myself, but we were, you know, didn't have the level of coaching that we have today. But I do agree, like feeling the energy of the crowd, it's a whole different experience than just trying a new personal best in the gym. It's a completely different feeling. And you know, that medal, like I said, whether it's whatever it is, it's a symbol of your accomplishment. And it's a big difference to like, you have to perform, like you said, you have 3 chances and you got to do it that day.
Yeah.
Can't wait till tomorrow. You can't put it off. So I think it teaches you to, you know, adhere to a deadline, stay focused, stay committed. And you guys both did a great job. So Sean, anything to add on your end? Like, what was the highlight for you for the competition? What was like your favorite part?
My favorite that I enjoy is I like me being there, have fun, have a great time, and like do a great job, and like having people like cheering for you, like you got this, and I just had like a very great time.
Excellent. And then Dee Dee, so what was it like? Kind of obviously you did it with your kids and your sister, so it was a big family event. You guys all hit personal records, which was so luckily it was everyone did well, so that always makes it more fun, right? But so what was it like? Kind of obviously it was a little bit different because now you're like also worried about what they're doing, and so I guess the positive in that was that at least I was overseeing everything, but so what was it like for lifting with your whole family versus just competing yourself?
It was a lot of fun. It was a family event, and we all did great. It was a little challenging because I want to make sure the kids also had snacks and they had electrolytes and they were fed and they were ready to go. But it was great, and I'll definitely do it again with them.
Very cool. So let's go back to the kids and then we'll kind of start to close out. But so Sean, if someone was maybe on the fence, maybe someone around your age that maybe they're younger, maybe they're like, maybe they're not a huge guy, maybe they're kind of built similar to like yourself. You mentioned that you kind of struggled in the beginning, but then you kind of, got much better with the form. So if someone was like looking to try out lifting, what advice would you give someone that's around your age starting out?
The advice that I would give them is that you have to like be patient and you have to think about what you're gonna do first, because you can't just do it. Because if you do it, then you gotta like try again. And if you like make mistakes, you also gotta try again. So I would say that you can like think, yeah, like you have to gym, have like a normal day, just focus at like one thing that's not moving in front of you, and just like breathe in, and then tell yourself that you got this, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the positive self-talk is big. And like we mentioned before, I think a reoccurring theme, I keep hearing patience. And I think even for myself, I kind of recently, at the time of this recording, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of tweaked something in my bad shoulder. Knock on wood, it's been much better, but I tried to move my training a day earlier to kind of cram some stuff in. And I know better. I've been doing this a long time. So it is a good reminder for people that are watching and listening. Um, you're better off just being patient, give it a little bit more time, take your time,
Yes.
and it'll happen. So it's a great advice, Sean.
Thank you.
What advice would you give someone maybe around your age, maybe for the ladies listening, in your point of view, like what's some advice you can kind of give people that are just starting out?
I agree, definitely be patient, but I would also say like things take time, you're not just gonna get it the next day. So practice makes perfect, so you have to if you have to be dedicated to it and really, you know, just like get into it. And it's okay if you like fail, because making mistakes is just how you get better.
Excellent.
Oh, very wise, very wise. You guys, great answers. Very good. You guys get A+. All right, Dee Dee. So we'll finish off with you. So for the parents listening,
Mhm.
same thing. So you kind of mentioned about like obviously finding a coach. So obviously you've been working with me, it's a little, but let's say like there's not someone like me in their area or they're looking for somebody. So what are some of maybe the qualities that you feel a parent should be looking for in a coach? And I guess how can you tell what kind of experience should they have? What are some things that maybe you felt that we've kind of done with them that you felt are like really maybe the most helpful things? I'm just kind of, whatever you think, but just kind of advice for parents, because I'm sure you see it a lot. Um, there's a lot of great trainers for kids. There's a lot of great, and there's also a lot of kind of junk. There's a lot of stuff that I think is unproductive or maybe even unsafe. So not to kind of like, call anyone out, but what should parents be looking for, and what advice can you kind of give them if maybe you have a parent that's maybe looking to get their kid involved in strength training or even getting into powerlifting?
I actually would ask, I would tell them to try different places and see if the coach and the kids have a good like relationship. If he gets along with them, she gets along with them. If they seem trustworthy, do your research. If you think of a particular school or a particular person, research about them, Google them, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Have the kids go and check it out first and see if it's something that they like. And if it's something physical, if you can physically do it as well, that's great for your kids because they learn from you. So if you're doing something, whether it's good or bad, they're going to follow in your footsteps. And if you want them to do something physically, then you should do it as well. And you lead by example.
Yeah, that is something. I forget who I was. I feel like it was like a little bit of a deja vu moment, but I do agree. Like, if you want to get your kids to do something, or just even anyone in your family, I think the best thing you could do is kind of lead from the front and just kind of set the example. And they're gonna learn, just like they started from watching you. They're gonna learn. They're gonna see what mom's doing. They're gonna see what dad's doing. So if you guys start to teach, we're trying to teach, our family like healthier habits. Get your protein. Have your carbs around training. Hydrate. Make sure get into bed early. Because if you don't have your health, what do you have? So I think it's really important to be health focused as a family. Obviously I'm a little bit biased, but whether it be powerlifting or just strength training, these are skills that they're going to learn. And even when maybe they're not competing anymore, now they know how to squat, they know how to deadlift, they know how to bench, and that's going to help them with their bone density. It's going to keep their muscle mass, and it's going to help them from, osteoporosis and different muscle wasting problems when they're older. So this is like a huge. So regardless of competing or not, these are like really important skills just to stay healthy, like as you get older. Obviously you can take competing too far, like I did when I was a super heavyweight. I learned from my mistakes, so you guys don't have to do that. So obviously you want to be at a healthy weight and eat well and all these things. You don't want to kind of take it to an extreme, like anything. Too much of anything is, too much of water is not good. So having the right dosage is really important, whether it be exercise or food. But yeah, I totally agree. You want to lead by example, do your research. Just like as a side note, like I'm not sure if you know this, Didi, but when I first started coaching, I volunteered, doing elementary wrestling, and then I was a head middle school wrestling coach for a long time. So I have a lot of experience with youth, and how you approach, someone might be a really good coach for, like you said, adults, but they may not have a certain skill set, how you communicate to kids, making it fun. Maybe, challenge them, but in a safe way, be a little bit more conservative. So those are some things that I like to look for, in terms of like people that work with like kids. And the workouts don't need to be as long or as intense. You don't need to be like doing 3 hour, 4 hour work. It could be 45 minutes, could be a half hour. A lot of times what I do with Brandon, they're really short, fun, try to keep it and keep it low pressure. And then you could slowly kind of raise the bar and make things more challenging over time. So really good stuff. Cool. Do you guys have anything else?
And one more thing, I agree totally, because if you make it fun for kids, then they're going to want to do it. If you make it a chore, they're not going to want to do it anymore. So
yeah, and I think that thank you for saying that. So I think the last thing I think that's important, and I've kind of even learned this with my family and stuff. It's hard because, like I said, I love this. Obviously, it's why I do what I do, but not everyone does love it. So if you can make it enjoyable, if you can make it interesting, if you can make it fun, and I think if you can, again, be more inclusive, do it as a family, I think that's huge. So be supportive. Like you said, it's kind of a bummer when like some family members aren't kind of like, they don't really understand, but obviously, you're doing a good thing. Because like I said, I've kind of dealt with that myself. I just lost my train of thought, but Didi, what did you just said about, so yeah, they came to you. So I think that's important too, as opposed to like forcing them into, so like let them, so I think it's good to expose them to it, let them absorb it, process it. And then I think if they come to you, because if it's their idea, they're going to be more likely to stick to it. So I just wanted to kind of end with that, because I think a lot of times I see this all the time with a lot of times it's dads, but not to pick on dads, but I'll see like kind of dads are like, oh, Johnny's, I'm like, I want to hear from Johnny, not for, you know what I mean? Like, I want to hear what Johnny's goals are. I don't need to hear from, and it's not to like pick on, dads or whatever, because it could be, but a lot of times you see these, I want to, if the kids, it's got to be the kid's goal, and the kid's got to want to do it. So I think that was, and I think that's one of the reasons why your kids have been successful, because they saw like, oh wow, look what mom did. This was a really amazing experience. I think that I could do that. And I think that this seems like a lot of fun. These people look really excited. Oh, there's people my age doing this. I think I could do that. So just kind of expose them to it, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's an actual local competition. So anyways, I think that's really, really good advice. I think that's a good way to kind of wrap things up, because, forcing things is never going to be a good idea.
It doesn't stick.
You have to like let it happen organically, and they have to be interested in it. So.
And one more thing with the competition is that if your child does do a competition, don't pressure them, because I told them, I said, just have fun. That's the key. Have fun. We're with our coach, with our family and friends. Have fun. If you miss a lift, you miss a lift. Who cares? You're having fun. You're learning.
Yeah, and I've kind of had to, because I can be very competitive myself, and even for myself that I'm doing things at a fairly high level now. I try not to think about like putting 800 pounds on my back, because that's like, kind of, I just think about, I want to just I'm going to try to execute the best I can. I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to just not think about the weight too much, because you can get, like you said, you can get in your head. So having that positive self-talk, making it fun, even at a higher level, I think, again, you got to love it. You got to enjoy it. Otherwise you're not going to stick to it. So but I appreciate you guys coming on. This has been a great interview. So I hope a lot of parents, so guys, if you're a parent, please share this. I think this is a great listen that you guys could listen to the family. If you have like a car ride to your next family trip or whatever, this would be a good listen. You guys could throw this on while you're driving. If this helped you, please share it. Give it a 5-star review. Guys, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.